Hi everyone, my name is Tom and I'm excited to introduce TAZ Analytics. TAZ is an analytics platform, but it's a bit different from what you might expect. Unlike traditional analytics platforms, TAZ uses AI to analyse data from apps, games and websites without human assistance. TAZ primarily helps you answer two questions. Why do my users churn and why do they spend? For our beta, we're focusing on churn, but spend analysis is coming very soon. The easiest way to explain how TAZ works is by taking a look. I've just created a new account, so let's log in. Currently, TAZ produces analyses of your data through reports. As you can see here, we've provided new users with a sample report so they can familiarise themselves with how things work. Let's leave that for a moment and take a look at how you build a report. Building a report with TAZ only requires a few steps. Firstly, you have to tell TAZ where your data is. Currently, we don't support data ingestion, so you need to access your data from somewhere else. For the moment, there are two options: direct database connection or AWS S3 bucket download. Let's assume our user here has his analytics data in a Redshift database, and let's copy in his connection string. There's no need for any more data configuration than that. TAZ will determine what data it needs on its own. Now that we've got our database sorted, we need to tell TAZ what types of users we want to analyse. For example, for this report, we may only be interested in new users from a particular build. Note that you don't need to tell TAZ how to identify builds. It will have a go at doing that itself. If it can't, we'll be in touch. Finally, if there's something else you'd like to tell the TAZ team about this particular report, you can tell us here. For example, you may want to ignore a particular event, remove certain columns from consideration in the analysis, or use a whitelist of builds. We can customize your reports to add these constraints in manually. We just need to give our report a title and we're done. TAZ will now start working behind the scenes. Typically, TAZ takes about 4 to 6 hours to produce your report, depending on the complexity of your product. We'll email you when it's ready to view. In the meantime, let's take a look at the sample report to see what we can expect from TAZ. This sample report is for a fictional game called the Cartoon Quiz. We can see from the report overview section that in the data provided to TAZ, the Cartoon Quiz has just under 400,000 users and that TAZ sampled 10,000 of them to produce its report. At the bottom of the summary, we get our first indication of the type of work that TAZ does: funnel analysis. TAZ looks for correlations in when events fire to determine when important stages of your product start and end, just like with normal funnel analysis. For the Cartoon Quiz, TAZ has identified 3 stages to the funnel, and we can see the number of users who've churned in each part. Underneath the report overview, we see the different sections of this report: an overview of the funnel analysis, prediction of who churns in the first 2 stages of the funnel, and churn hotspots, which we'll come to in a moment. In the funnel analysis overview section, we see percentage breakdowns of user churn and the funnel part characterization section. This part helps you to relate the funnel TAZ has found to your product by describing what events fire for the first time in each stage of the funnel. Here we see that in the second stage of the funnel, the user performs a bonus round in the quiz for the first time. In the third part, we see that users use power-ups for the first time. Hence, we know that by the time users have tried power-ups, only 46% of our users are still playing. Funnel analysis is useful, but it doesn't help us to figure out why users are churning. That's why TAZ causally examines what factors affect churn in each stage of the funnel by using a causal decision tree model. TAZ uses causal inference techniques to only include variables in its analysis that have a causal effect on churn. We hope this helps you to improve your product much faster than traditional analytics platforms allow. For the Cartoon Quiz, we see that users who receive a push notification, whose message type is greater than 0, are more likely to churn than users who don't. Seems like message type 0 is much more effective than the others. Hotspot Analysis is designed to help you understand what happened around the point of churn. TAZ starts simply enough by listing the most common events that fire just before a user churns, and summarises the average number of times these events fire for churned users. In this case, we see that the quiz end event is the most common event around churn in funnel part 1, and that churning users on average have played 4 quizzes before leaving. Finally, TAZ helps you to identify causes of churn by intelligently examining common events around churn when the churn rate is split by parameter values. For example, if we scroll down to the bottom, we see that in part 1 of the funnel, the churn rate around UI change events is much higher on buy power up and point screens than other places in the app. In future versions of TAZ, causal inference techniques will be integrated into the hotspot analysis to help you pinpoint problems quicker than ever before. As I mentioned earlier, spend analysis will be coming very soon to TAZ, adding another tool to TAZ's arsenal. I hope you've enjoyed this taster of TAZ. If you're interested in trying it out, you can get in touch with us by emailing support@coajoint.co.uk. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll be happy to help.